Hello, Taurus. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Taurus is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment. Consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Taurus, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And we begin with the Four of Swords. You're a very mentally calm person right now. I know it's not always like that. Take advantage of the stillness right now. I think you're somebody who is learning better ways to deal with stress. Sometimes this is the card of saying, like, okay, what's stressing you out so bad, right? And how do you deal with the stress? I feel like mental stress. I feel like you have a lot of things that are your responsibility. You have a lot of things to worry about. Sometimes it's hard to stay organized, you know. Sometimes it's hard to kind of keep everything straight and not freak out and not get overwhelmed and not kind of, you know, for things not to devolve, yeah. So we're trying to hold it together with this card. We're trying to give our mind a break. We're trying to find ways to make our life a little easier. Stay organized. Automate things, right? Set up a schedule. Set up a repeating thing on your calendar or something, right? Just so you don't have to keep it all up here. Some people will say, well, I don't need to write anything down. I got it all up here. Yeah, that's very good. But it's helpful to have systems in place, especially nowadays when we receive information at such a fast rate. Like never before in the history of the world have we had this much data all at once. And it's good to be engaged. It's good to, to study and research and to think and to exercise our mind, to solve problems, to solve puzzles, to explore, to innovate, to think very deeply about things, okay? But how can we think deeply about things if our mind is scattered into a million directions trying to remember the grocery list and remember what the schedule is and what the kids need to do and what I had to do at work and what I'm supposed to do tomorrow, and all these kind of surface level things that we can automate, things that we can invoke the assistance of all of this technology to help us with, right? There are plenty of apps and websites and things that we can utilize so that we have more time to think deeply about things, that we have more time to rest our mind and go within and explore and fantasize, dream even, right? Have you ever been so busy that even when you sleep, you don't feel like you get any rest from it? I think that lately you have been so busy in your life, or at least busy in your head, right? That's where we experience the world. I think we've been so busy that it's like we don't even really dream much anymore. When's the last time we just sat and really contemplated or meditated upon something or had that kind of inner experience? That's what this card is all about. I think you've been doing more of this. I think you've been meditating more. I think that you've been taking time for yourself. You've been taking kind of mental rest periods. Intentionally throughout the day, that just kind of okay, timer goes off. I take 5 minutes where I just kind of stare off into the distance at nothing in particular. Every couple hours, get up, go outside, just stand there and stare at the mountains over yonder. It seems simple. It seems kind of dumb, right? It's not. It's not. It's very good for you. One, it's good for your eyes. Give your eyes a break, right? Do some distance vision, but also not look at anything in particular. Don't focus on that mountain trying to see if there's a goat at the top of the, no. Just sort of lazy. Just like let your eyes just kind of wander back and forth. Loosely scan the horizon. Loosely scan the horizon. I was talking to my wife, Lenore. She's over at Ula Tea Leaf Readings. And we were talking about that, how it's good for our eyes to just kind of look at the distance and like not really look at anything in particular, but just kind of scan and like, you know, just to kind of relax ourselves. And it doesn't make us more alert. I think it makes us calmly perceptive. And I was telling her, you know what? I think that's why I like driving so much. When I drive, you put me behind the wheel of a car or any kind of vehicle, actually. And I kind of just like, I get real quiet. I get really calm. I'm really aware of my breathing. I'm very alert. I'm always scanning the mirrors. I'm always looking down the road and scanning the road. I'm being very responsible and very conscientious. But it's almost like an active meditation for me. Because what am I doing? Well, I'm sitting down, I'm breathing. My back is straight. I'm not one of those people that leans way back in the car. You know, I like to be relatively vertical. And I'm scanning the world around me. I'm not focusing on anything in particular. I'm not staring at the car in front of me. I'm just sort of loosely scanning everything. So it puts us into almost a meditative state. It's very alert. It's not like we're going to fall asleep. It's a very alert state, but it's very calm, receptive. Yeah, and to me, that's the Four of Swords. These are the practices that we have to do. And of course, box breathing, which I'm doing with you on the channel Dove and Serpent Daily, which is a new channel that I've started. Every Monday, we're going to do a little moment of box breathing together as we set our intention for the week. Okay, so please join me over there, if you will. And this is meditation. Okay, this is in a way meditation in that form of like not trying to focus on any one thing in particular, nothing specific, just sitting there and breathing. And when our mind starts to wander, we just sort of bring it back to the breath. And we're just in a way, we're just kind of loosely scanning our minds, like we are when we're driving, loosely scanning the environment around us, loosely scanning our minds. And when a thought pops up, we let it go. Okay? And I think that we will experience much deeper relaxation. Now, I don't want to get stuck on this idea, so let's put this card into a little bit of context for you. Let's see what's going on in your life, okay? We have a 10 of Swords. Interesting. Birdcage card, right? The breaking down of illusions. Here we have the Hermit. We have the High Priestess. We have, there it is, the 6 of Swords. That's the real harmony. You know, that's the beauty and harmony of the mind. The 10 feels like everything's breaking down. It feels like if things don't change, this stress is going to break me. It's all going to fall apart. As much as we're trying to hold it together with with our 4 of Swords, but by implication, the 5 of Swords, trying so hard to hold everything together, we're going to break it. What we need to do is really do the 4 of Swords by letting everything go and having those moments of calm meditation, calm perception, calm receptive energy. And, then we'll experience this harmony rather than the breaking down of all of our systems. It's kind of like when you're very mentally stressed out. If you keep trying to force whatever it is you're doing, eventually everything sort of devolves into chaos. You know what I mean? And like I've been that way at work. I've been that way here on the channel, trying to get the lights and the cameras and everything. And kind of the more that I kind of am forcing myself to do it, eventually everything just becomes wrong. Everything just feels like everything fell apart. So what we need to do is back away from something and relax. We need to have these ways of just breathing and calming down and meditating, not in the sense of like, I need to think about the cameras. Okay, what do I need to do with the cameras? Let me think about the cameras. No, but just like being calm, being still, and letting the answers come to us, really, right? Being that calm, receptive. Yeah. Anyway, let's keep going. There we've got the activity. Yeah, so I feel like there's a lot of stress in your life right now, and there will be more. We see the Princess of Wands in the future. There's always going to be more for you to do, Taurus. We have the Empress. We have the Seven of Pentacles, the Three of Cups, yes, and the Magician. These are some secrets of the Magician energy. Okay. The fire and earth combination that we have, I have a bad mosquito bite on my arm. Very itchy. Mosquitoes are bad this year, aren't they? I don't know where you live if they're bad, but here they're bad. We have fire and earth here, the spiritual electrical circuit of creation. This is you, right? Getting energized, going back out into the world and fixing the things that need fixing, okay? Taking care of business in your life. Showing up, having the discipline, back at it. We're taking a little mental break here, right? Little psycho holiday, so to speak. And so that we're able to get back to this. We have to de-stress. We have to have these moments of intellectual reprieve. Yeah, so that we can get energized to go and fix the things that need fixing, to be attentive to those areas of life. This is the Seven of Pentacles in your environment. Okay. The Three of Cups, I think, is the return of the joy and the pleasure about what you're doing. I think right now we're so overwhelmed with the stress that it's, in some cases, in some way, some moments, we just say, what's the point of it all, you know? Like, can I just throw it all away? Do I have to keep doing all this stuff? Why can't I just let everything just break down and fall away? Yeah. But we're not going to do that, right? Because we care about this. We're trying to hold it together. Let's select our mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We're going to set it down right over here with our little sea turtle friend right there on top. Has no name, but is the wisest of our guardians of the mystery card. I need a good name for that sea turtle. I feel like there's a sea turtle in some kind of a Pixar movie or something that I just don't know about. Anyway, we'll look at that card at the end. But as we look at these cards, we see 1, 2, 3, 4 major arcana energies. We see the fire in the future position. That's good. This is showing me that your passion, your excitement, your joy about what you're doing is coming back, okay? This is the card that wants to dance. And this is you skipping back to work, you know? This is you like whistling around the house while you're, doing your chores and while you're on your way to the office or whatever you do. We see the water, of course, to go with it. And the majority of the air cards, right? There's a lot of air. This is about the mental stuff. And of course, we have that one earth energy. The 10 of Swords is kind of the birdcage card. This is the card really of pointlessness. This is the card, because if you look at the card, all those swords have no point. All the tips are broken off, okay? And furthermore, they're all trying to aim for a particular center, but it didn't quite hit. This thing, it's almost like this is a dry and desiccated thing we're doing. It's kind of like we feel that there's no nourishment here. There's no meat on these bones. And whatever we're doing right now, we're trying to hold it together, but we're starting to get a little cynical. We're starting to think like, why do I even bother? Hey, this is not even feeding my soul anymore. This is like in the cartoons where they'd hold up just the fish bones, like a cat will have a meal and just hold up the bones of the fish. That's what this card is. It's dry and desiccated. There's no water energy there. There's no love. There's no appreciation. There's no joy. It's just we become bitter, kind of gnarled looking. And we don't want to be that way. So the obstacle, the card 2 is the battlefield. The obstacle for you is to hold things together and figure out how can we continue to hold this thing together, whether this is your job, this is your life, your house, your school, your work, your relationship, your family, whatever it might be. That mental stress is kind of the worst, okay? And it's noise. It's where we just feel static in our brains, and we need the reprieve. So our objective here, the battle, the quest before us, is to figure out what we got to do before it gets to that point where we've lost all care about what we're doing. Where it just doesn't matter anymore. Something's going to break. Either my mind is going to snap or I'm going to just I'm going to walk away from this thing before I snap, you know, before the stress really gets to me, in other words. And the Ten of Swords is, like I said, it's kind of that birdcage card. It kind of feels like we sort of feel trapped maybe where we are. We feel as if it never stops, like you're at work. You know, they say that about the mail, right? It's, you know, the mail just keeps coming. It's like the work is never over. The more you get, the faster you are at your job, the better you are at your job, the more work they give you. And so it sometimes feels like there's no way out of that cycle of things just, you know, coming in. And the more efficient I get, it just means they're going to give me more to do, you know. I think your quest is to learn some of these stress reduction techniques so that you can feel more excitement and more joy in your life, in what you're doing right now, whether it's your job, at work, at home, at school, your relationship, whatever it might be. I feel like the mental aspect of it is starting to overwhelm you. Okay? And maybe it's just the fact like keeping everything together, trying to keep things organized. Sometimes you organize things so much that they end up even more disorganized. The more we try to organize, and at the end it's just like, I don't even know what I did. I arranged everything by, you know, I alphabetized it by the third letter of the last name, and then I did it chronologically, then I did it by their birth date, and then I did it by the color of the folder, and it's just like, wait, it's just a mess. So maybe this is about taking a time out, taking a moment, you know, to let it all go. Just let it kind of, you know, let it pass from you for the moment. And do the box breathing, do the quiet stillness meditation, you know, the breath work, and do just the, you know, this is like go outside and just scan the horizon loosely for 5 minutes. This is the car that's saying, man, I might need to just go in the bathroom and collect myself, you know. Whatever we do to help us to combat the overwhelming stress. We just, you know, you kind of go in the bathroom, you sit in the stall, and you just breathe, right? It's that kind of a feeling when these two cards get together. Down beneath the surface, you got your Hermit. I feel like you work very well alone, right? I feel like you're somebody who is kind of craving some solitude. This is, you know, Superman, the fortress of solitude. Sometimes I just need to get away so I can realize what's going on. I just need to be by myself. That fortress of solitude was cool, right? The crystals and all this stuff. Felt very peaceful, felt very cool, right? And sometimes that's what the Hermit wants. I just want to go to my cave and relax and unwind and just let all this stuff float away. It's kind of like all this stuff that we can't say in public or at work. It just gets pent up in us. We just need to have a little alone time where we can just let our mind sort of, you know, unravel itself. Feels like you're very tightly wound. And what we need is to unravel that, okay? And so it may even be talking about doing like a digital detox kind of thing, or even a social media detox, or even just social energy itself, that we just need a break from our mind being constantly moving outward. Too many things going on all at once, okay? Maybe overstimulated mentally. And if you're like me, I'm neurodivergent, I definitely need some alone time at some point. Not to think about anything or do anything in particular, but to really do nothing. It's kind of like, you know, just someone staring at the wall. I like to stare out into the distance because I feel like that's better for us, especially since I'm nearsighted anyway. It benefits me to stop looking at things. You know, all day I'm kind of looking at things that are only 1 or 2 feet away from me. So when I'm driving, that's when I get to focus on things that are 1 mile, 2 miles away from me, right? Or scanning close and far, near and far, sideways and all around. And so I think it's good for us, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally as well. The Hermit needs a little bit of that alone time. I think you're somebody that right now feels like, I don't know that I really work so well with others. I need a timeout. I need a little bit of a break, okay? In the past position, we have our High Priestess. Now, the High Priestess is always leading you to your best life. That's your intuition. That's the guiding light of the star, okay? And sometimes the High Priestess will drag us over the river and through the woods. To grandmother's house we go. Well, this is mother here, not so much grandmother, but you get the idea. The High Priestess is also the one that sometimes will have to drag us through the briar patch to get to our best life. So the stress now, it's kind of like we realize that I'm here for a reason. My intuition, spirit, God, goddess, deity, my conscience, my higher self, my guardian angels, they've brought me here, and this is where I'm supposed to be, and I don't doubt that. But I'm still a human being, I think, right? At least most of us. And so we're going to experience the stress of whatever path we're on, whatever we're doing right now. Now, did you wake up suddenly the other night and you felt like you were being watched or something, right? Yeah, I do feel like there's a grandmother energy around you. I feel like you do have there is someone that has passed into spirit. I don't think, in your lifetime they passed, and they're still very, very close to you, yeah. And there's a photo that's broken, or a photo in a frame, the frame's broken, that you have, right? Yeah. Anyway, I think we're feeling a little bit more sensitive to things right now because of this. It's almost like our mental wires are a little frayed, and we're feeling kind of like these, the impressions that come in. It's almost like when we're hypersensitive, just a pin dropping on a carpet will feel like a thunderous roar. Okay, we're mentally, I think, very sensitive right now. But with the High Priestess, I think we understand that this is where I'm supposed to be. I was led to this point. I think that whatever situation you're in now, there was some sort of synchronicity or some sort of like weird, mystical, magical event that brought you into the situation you're in now. And I think you trust in that very much. I think you're a very psychically sensitive person. And I think that maybe we're feeling right now that we're so psychically sensitive that it's overwhelming us, and that maybe I can't even now distinguish between what is really like my higher self or spirit communicating with me and what is just the overwhelming noise of the world. Okay? So I think that what we're trying to do also is to calm our minds down, get into that calm, receptive, meditative kind of state, that very relaxed but very alert mental state, so that we can hear the voice of the High Priestess, that we can feel and see the light, we can receive the download, we can get the confirmations of life, and we can just sort of have that reconnection with spirit. Because what happens is all the mental energy, all the thoughts, and all that, all the mental activity covers up the voice of the High Priestess, drowns out the voice of that intuition, you see. Too much mental energy, and we can't receive the signal of the intuition. Yeah. What we have up here, though, the 6, this is kind of, now we start to get into all the good stuff, yeah? Because the 6 of Swords is a card of harmony. It's a card of mental peace. It's a card of beauty. It's a card now where everything we're doing seems like it fits together. These two cards are very different. This card, everything was trying to hit that purpose, that center, that heart, but it didn't hit. Everything's pointless. Everything's falling apart. This is the exact opposite. Everything is piercing the heart. Everything feels like it's right where it's supposed to be. People we talk to, it feels like we're connecting, we're in harmony, we're vibing with everything here. Okay? So I feel like right now we're not so much. I don't think that we're really vibing with a lot of things right now. Maybe it's even leading us to questioning the intuition and questioning the path that we've taken or the guidance that we received through spirit or through the mediumship of another human being that led us to this situation. And now we're starting to question that and think, gosh, did I make the wrong decision? Am I even supposed to be where I am right now? I think what we really want is to feel those connections. We want to feel like everything is in place. This is real organization and harmony. Okay? And I feel like if we invoke this calm, peaceful, again, the kind of calm, meditative, receptive state, I think we'll begin to feel the connection and the harmony of everything. We'll get back in sync with the people around us and with the world around us, mentally in sync. Okay? And physically in sync as well, because I feel like you're looking at the world as being a little bit dysfunctional right now. And also what we'll get is well, one, I think we have to reclaim some of our alone time so we can tap into that light. The High Priestess is the light coming off of the Hermit's lamp. She is literally the light rays, okay? And that's kind of showing you your path, and it's illuminating your soul and your destiny and all that good stuff. But we also want the harmonious mind. We want to be physically in harmony, emotionally in harmony. We want to have this excitement. We want to feel fired up. We want to feel the motivation and the will and the creative energy. We want to dance. We want to create. We want to live a nice, passionate and exciting, enthusiastic, motivated life. And all of this is the magician. The magician needs to use the fire, the water, the air, and the earth to do what it does. Right? The magician knows how to juggle all those things. So if we do the work that's over here, the next step for you, position 6, the way forward is going to be with a little bit of a pep in your step, you know? I think that we'll come back to our life renewed with more passion, more enthusiasm, more creativity. You're going to dance. You're going to feel, it's going to be, I can't wait to get to work. It's like we're skipping all the way to work. We're whistling while we work. We're singing a song. We're dancing. We're doing all of it. Okay. And I think this is kind of what we've been missing. It's just, we feel like, man, what's the point? This is like, the point is just the point. It doesn't need to be a point. This is exciting. This is fun. I'm motivated. I'm enthusiastic to get back to doing the thing. And so I think this is like, you know, this is the way we want to experience the world. This gives us the motivation. I can't wait to get back to the office and crunch those numbers or whatever we do. Yeah. We're excited again. We're motivated. And life feels like it is, we feel youthful again. This is a Princess of Wands. This is, you know, this is kind of this is a vitality, a youthful vitality. This is also a very impulsive card. This is a card that says we might need to find some things to do that make us feel a little excited again. Okay, so we have this calm, receptive energy. We want to kind of isolate a little bit. We want to get in touch with spirit again. We want to find the right kind of flow and organization. I want to feel like everything has a point again. I want to feel the beauty and the harmony. And maybe part of the method to getting all of that is to engage in some activities that make us feel young, make us feel excited, that feel fun. Play a game, play a sport, maybe board game, card games, right? Do something that is going to that's going to excite us again. I kind of feel like, were you dancing in the rain at one point? Like you have, literally danced in the rain before, right? Kind of feel like that's what you want to do again. Or maybe you did one of those, like a flash mob kind of thing? Or like one of those spontaneous, like, dance things out in public somewhere. And you did something like that. And this is that card, okay, that says maybe we need to just engage in some other things that will stimulate our creativity, that'll make us feel kind of alive. Yeah. Let's talk about the path of the serpent, and as we do this, I would like to ask for your subscription. If you haven't subscribed, Taurus, please do. Readings are free, and it really does support the channel, and I really do appreciate you. Okay. Your general energy is the Empress. This is a mother energy. It's not gender specific. What it means is that you're somebody who's responsible for cultivating your life. You're growing the garden. You're holding everything together, and you keep giving, giving, and giving. And you're doing the schedule. You're running the calendar. You are You're making all the phone calls, you're paying all the bills, you are taking care of all the work, you're managing all the people, you're doing so much. And that's part of what the Empress does, gives and gives and gives. Blood, sweat, and tears pouring out into this life of yours, right? Sometimes the Empress forgets to rest, sometimes forgets to heal, sometimes forgets to self-care. So you may be feeling that all of your energy is going outward, all your time, effort, energy, and money going that way, right? And what's returning? Well, we see it's stress, It's kind of like the more you give, the more you do, the more this garden grows. Great, the bigger the garden, the more weeds I gotta pull, the more water it's gonna take, the more hours I'm gonna have to spend doing it. Okay, so we have to make sure that we allow some of that energy to come back, that you're allowed to rest. You're the Empress, yes, but you're not here to be enslaved by the garden that you're growing. You're meant to be a part of it, So you need to eat the fruit. You need to enjoy the garden. You need to just lay down in the grass underneath the tree and take a nap by the garden. In between pulling weeds or tilling the soil or whatever it is that you do. This is that kind of the caretaker of the life. This is the landscaper of the garden, the one who's responsible for life and what it's growing now. Maybe this is you at work, maybe this is you at home or at school, maybe this is just you generally. Feel like, you kind of take care of everything and you're responsible for making sure everything grows properly. Maybe you're a parent, maybe you run a household, maybe you run a business. Okay? Maybe you're just trying to run your life. And it feels that it's a lot of work and very little recognition, appreciation, and reward. That needs to come back to you. Okay? And it will. And that's why I think we have that 3 of Cups in our fear, worry, and concern. We're afraid that we're not going to find the joy or the satisfaction. We're not going to get the fruit of our labor. We're not going to get the recognition or appreciation. That we're not going to be celebrated, and we're not going to feel good, and we're not going to be able to enjoy life. But we will. Okay? And this is part of the path to that. And I think once we start reclaiming some of this time and energy for ourselves and making sure we have our fortress of solitude that we can go to, and we do our 4 of Swords, box breathing and meditation and the calm, receptive awareness and all those practices, the stress reduction practices are very important for you right now. We'll have more enthusiasm to come out into the world and do this because, see, the 7 of Pentacles is how you see the world. We see it as being, more weeds in the garden, right? This is literally like a garden that's not growing. And if you're the gardener and you see this, you think you failed as a gardener, right? Right? If I were a gardener, if I had a gardener or something like that, right? And this was what my yard looked like, I'd say, gardener, what are you doing? What am I paying you for, right? Thankfully, it's my wife and I that are out there doing the yard work, mostly my wife, if I'm honest. If this was the garden, I would say, gosh, I must be doing something wrong because the garden's not growing. So then we sort of start feeling bad about ourselves, but I don't think that's it at all. I think that we're looking at the universe this way. This is how you see the world. Okay? And if we see the world as being, a garden that isn't growing, well, then we're going to feel all this intense pressure and stress because now I feel like I'm not doing a good enough job. I feel like I have to go and double my efforts. I feel like I've got to work harder. I don't feel like I deserve any kind of gratitude or appreciation or joy or love. Because why? Because I failed at my job. I'm the gardener. The garden's failing. Of course, I'm not going to get a big pat on the back from the world, right? So we have to stop seeing the world as just being this place that is so needy that I can't possibly give this thing what it needs. That this is something that requires so much sunlight, soil, and water that there's no way There's no way I can make this work. You know? So I think in some ways we have to be honest if whatever you're facing in life feels like this is not just a one-person job. Okay, first of all, let's say you have acres and acres and acres of lawn, and you're the gardener, you've got to use that push mower, and you're thinking, I'm gonna fail at this. This is too much. There's no way. This is gonna be terrible. It's gonna be a failure. This project isn't gonna work. Okay? We either have to admit that and say, hey, look, your yard is way too big. I can't possibly mow it myself with this little push mower. My grandma had one. It was the mechanical mowers, which is the wheel that spins with the blades, you know. Thankfully, she had a very small yard. So it might be a matter of us admitting that the task before me is not something that just one person with these tools is capable of doing. And so that is something that the magician has to admit, because the magician is trying to accomplish something. We're trying to accomplish, you know, the beautification of the garden. We want the garden to grow, whatever that means for you in your life. The magician has to be able to say, okay, I can have that goal. I want the garden to grow. What tools do I need? Do I need more people? Do I need more time? Do I need a bigger mower? Do I need like a big gas-powered 0-point turn monster of a mower? Well, that would help. Okay? So the magician needs to take that responsibility and say, I want to accomplish a certain goal, whatever that is, or the garden. I'm going to need to be very honest with myself about how I can accomplish that. You can accomplish anything you want, but you're going to have to really, I think, speak up. I think part of our 3 of Cups is about speaking up and really telling people what we need. This is Mercury in Cancer. Mercury is the communication. Mercury is like, you know, I can do this, but I need some love. You got to show me some love. I need a little bit of appreciation or recognition. I need some better tools. I need a bigger mower. I need a bigger boat, right? But I think also with the 7 of Pentacles, I kind of feel as if you're focusing a lot on what is not working so much and where you have not succeeded, rather than giving yourself the credit for everything that you have already been doing, giving yourself the credit for how things are growing beautifully in your life. Okay, if we see the world as being this, we're going to start to feel like this. Wow, this is my fault. Maybe part of it is that you're not responsible for everything, and so when you look out in the world, you see everybody else has terrible lawns. It's not your fault. You're responsible for your lawn. If you have some extra time and you're feeling generous, you can go mow your neighbor's lawn too. But we've got to get our house in order. Okay. And I think that the return of the Princess of Wands here with this 7 of Pentacles is saying, I'm very fired up. I feel good because I've asked for what I needed. I'm getting the love that I want. I'm able to taste of the fruit of my labor. And it makes me want to labor even more. Okay? We kind of feel like this is like a really good dopamine circuit right here. Yeah, right? We have this ambition out here to do the work, and it feels good to be in pursuit of something. It feels good when we recognize the benefits, when we recognize the goal, and we allow ourselves to feel the reward. It then cycles back around. It motivates us. The dopamine / adrenaline, I guess, circuit, and we get more motivated, right? It feels good, it feels rewarding, and to be out there in the garden and mowing the lawn. There's something satisfying about doing it, right? It's the lemonade at the end or the iced tea at the end. It's the satisfaction of seeing the lawn being mowed, being the grass being short, the garden being cultivated, the vegetables growing, right? It's that sort of reward, and then it motivates us to do it again next week, or to come back out tomorrow morning and water these plants and pull the weeds and pick the bell peppers again. And then the magician is functioning exactly the way the magician should. I know what I need to get the job done, and now my magic is working. The magician is causing change and conformity with will. I want the garden to grow. Okay, how do I do it? I can't just snap my fingers. It's not a rabbit out of a hat. I need tools. I need time. I need the knowledge. I need the skills. I need to deal with failure. I need to, like, sometimes fall down and be able to learn and get back up and keep trying. And that's how we become a better and better magician. Okay, and I think it is really about communication here. You have to be able to communicate with yourself. Now, did you once get lost in Venice? I feel like you were kind of wandering around the canals or something and you got lost, yeah? Anyway, there's a Venice connection for you. The magician is the one that can adapt. The magician is the one that knows whatever tool I need to use, I can use. You know, it's kind of like you're playing that, you're on that show Chopped. I love using this example. I love that show. And you're one of the contestants. You get a basket full of ingredients, and you're saying, you've got to make the best dish possible. And of all these random ingredients that don't go together. But the thing is, you don't just have to use those things. You have access to the whole Chopped kitchen and pantry, fridge and pantry, I guess. You can use any other ingredient that you want. If we have it in the studio, in the kitchen here, you can use it to make the dish at it, but you have to use these ingredients. So it's like, this is the work that you have to do. You want to cultivate the garden. Use whatever tools are available to you. So we realize that what's preventing our garden from growing right now is all this mental stress. Use whatever tools we have available that will help us to alleviate that stress. And that doesn't mean you're going to go self-medicate. Okay? Doesn't mean we're going to do things irresponsibly. But there are ways to reduce stress in our life, and those are healthy things. They can turn into unhealthy things if we just overuse those things, right? And some people might have a drink in the evening to sort of unwind and to get themselves into a mellow state. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people do other things. Okay, some people want to go for a run. Some people, like to have some comfort food or something like that, right? If we overuse it, it turns into a problem. But as a way of reducing our stress, stress is bad for us, We need a little bit of it, but too much is no good. And so the magician understands how everything can be a tool, right? If we use it to improve our situation, just like the fool knows that everything's a toy if you play with it. The magician knows that everything is a tool if we use it for construction. Okay, let's look at our mystery card. I want to see some good water energy, obviously. I want to see a 9 or a 10 of cups. I think another 3 of cups would be good, or a 6 or anything like that. But I think the water energy is really what we need now, because it's kind of in the position of the obstacle or the difficulty. I think you have a difficulty speaking up about what you really need. And I think that right now our fear is that we're not going to feel the joy of the path that we're on. We're not going to feel connected. We're not going to feel any kind of reward. So I want maybe a 6 of cups, which would, to me, kind of be that dopamine hit from the hard work and the reward of that hard work. Yeah. Well, let's see what we have. Well, it's an 8. Interesting, an 8 of cups. Shows the hermit walking away from something that is not bad for us. See, the hermit didn't kick all those cups over. Just said, I need a break, right? I'll come back to them, but right now I just need a break. So I kind of feel that this is us walking, and maybe we realize that these cups were empty. So the hermit is saying, okay, I need to walk away from this. I thought there was going to be water here. There's no water here. And maybe in a way, it's the hermit kind of saying, okay, I need before I kick the cups over, these dry, empty cups, before I kick them over, I need to take a break. I need to step away for a moment. Okay. So sometimes this card talks about the character qualities that we need to develop in order to continue to walk forward, to continue on our path. And maybe, in some ways, this is about us finding the value in what we're doing and taking our own well-being into our own hands and doing the self-care stuff and not relying on anybody else to make us feel good about the work we're doing. I don't need a pat on the back from anybody because I'm kind of patting myself on the back. I'm doing the self-care, and so it doesn't matter if I get the outside validation. Okay. And sometimes this card is really just about us kind of walking away from a situation that doesn't fulfill us, doesn't reward us, that we don't feel connected to. Okay? And maybe we don't want to ruin it. We don't want to kick the cups over. So I just need to step away for a few minutes. Calm myself down. Do that stress management stuff, that the Four of Swords practices. Do the stress reduction stuff so that I can come back to this situation and be involved and be connected and be there and be present and all that stuff. Maybe that what we really need is just a little bit of a timeout. Yeah. Well, let's do an extended reading as well. We'll do an I Ching hexagram. We'll do some oracle cards. There is a link in the corner. There's a link down below. New readings for Taurus on Mondays and Fridays. Be sure to watch both readings. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you are watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we are all in this together.